Microphone's on?
Yep.
It is 6:30, and I am calling the Plainfield Township Planning Commission to order. First on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Any changes on that, other than making note that 5A is a public hearing tonight?
No changes.
Thank you. Up here, any changes, comments? No? All right, I'll take a motion at this time.
I'll move to approve. Support.
Thank you. That was Brian and Jim supporting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. Next is the approval of our consent agenda, which includes approval of the February 28, 2023 Planning Commission meeting minutes, and also to postpone the Jupiter Condominium PUD rezone request until the April 25, 2023 Planning Commission meeting, which is a site layout for Jupiter condominiums. Any changes, additions? No, I'll take a motion at this time.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Jim, support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Brian. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, thank you very much. Next are public comments. Anybody wanting to make a public comment? Come on up, introduce yourself, tell us your name, anything you want to say. This is not a question and answers period, it's just comments. So anybody wanting to take advantage of that? Hi, Ms. Dykema. Nope. Okay, fine, I'll close that portion. And next, we go right into the agenda items. First is the special use permit and site plan review. Who's my secretary? I've forgotten. Is it you? I beg your pardon. Brian.
First is my name, now it's my position.
I'm sorry, well, it was a fast year, I'm sorry. Would you read that application, please?
Okay. Project name, Model Airplane Club Airfield. Applicant is Phil Mazer. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Okay. Project address 3910 East Beltline Avenue. Permanent parcel number 411035300067. Size of site approximately 47 acres. Existing zoning is rural preserve, and zoning proposed is not applicable on this particular event. Project description and action requested. The Wolverine Skyhawks Model Airplane Club is seeking a special use permit and site plan approval to operate a model airplane club from 3910 East Beltline Avenue, referred to as the state landfill in this application. It is also commonly called the waste management property.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here? You want to come up and tell us a bit about your project, please? Okay. And would you make sure your microphone is on over there and speak into it? Thanks, Brian.
Yep. Okay, my name is Eric Pippinger. I'm the president of the Wolverine Skyhawks Model Aviation Club, or Model Airplane Club. We are chartered with the Academy of Model Aeronautics, which is has over 2,500 clubs across the country, probably close to 200,000 members of those clubs across the country. And we've been kind of working on this project now for over a year, but we need your approval for us to move forward with it at this point now. I think we've got some
Want to see your plans, Peter?
now Peter can. Okay. This is an overlay of the entire landfill area. I just overlaid this drawing on top of the landfill, basically. And you can see where the trees are. From the lower dotted line there would be the edge of the runway, would be the west edge of the runway. All the flying would be done east of that, okay? So as you're looking at this right now, you're looking east. North would be to your left. And so the box that I have there is what we typically would call the flying box. It's pretty much the flying area that would be flying over. It's approximately 2,000 feet. north and south, and about 550 feet east and west. And all the flying would be done east of that flying line in that particular area right there. So I kind of made some arches there because you're typically not going to fly an airplane and make sharp left-hand turns or anything. So, I mean, it's going to be a curve, but that'd be the approximate area there. That's approximate location where the runway is going to be. We did do some work up there and actually mowed an area so we could stake out and actually get an idea of where things were going to be up there. There's a lot of obstacles on the landfill that we have to avoid. There's inspection vaults and electrical stanchions and whatnot that we have to avoid there for the runway. So we did pick a spot out and have an area staked out where it would be appropriate to do that and avoid any of those obstacles out there and whatnot. But so that's the main thing. If I go to the next picture, is I think there was two drawings there on the plans, but there we go. And that's just gives you a better idea of the layout. This is basically a carbon copy of what we have currently in Cedar Springs, okay? The reason we're looking for a new location is because the city of Cedar Springs owns the property where we fly right now, but they are making that into an industrial park where they're going to have businesses in there and whatnot. So that necessitated us to find a new location at this point. And we have, it's very common to put modeling runways on Superfund sites like this landfill because it's very little impact on the landfill itself, okay? Mostly what we're using is the air above the landfill. You know, we just need a small space set out to put the runway, some parking areas, place for a container or a shed to put like our mowers and things like that to store in. So we don't take up a lot of real estate actually on the ground. Basically what we need is that air above the runway there. So go to the next slide.
What specifically you looking for, this one?
No, we can go to the next item there, I think. Now this just,
If you look up at the agenda there's some
Over here, sir.
I think the scope was before
What are you looking for?
the scope of activity, I believe, was before the field rules. There we go. Okay. And just to give you some idea of what we're looking at there, we've got about 60 or 70 members in the club. Right now, we've got, I think, 50-some that are paid, that are current right now. But flying RC aircraft is typically a fair weather sport, okay? It's very unlikely that anybody's going to be there if it's raining or if the wind is gusting up over 15 miles an hour. There's probably not going to be anybody there. So typically it's season runs from like April through September, October in that area there. Most of the activity that we're going to have at the landfill there is going to be taking place in June, July, and August. A typical nice summer day, there's going to be, you know, one or two pilots might get there early in the morning to get in some flights before the wind picks up, and then you might have 4 to 6 pilots that'll show up and fly from, you know, in the afternoon, and then sometimes after work or after school you'll get, you know, maybe another half a dozen or so that might show up on a nice day to get some flights in. We have a meeting during the summer. Our meetings are held at the field, and typically a meeting night, we might have 25 guys show up for a meeting. Other than that, we do a little club competition that we do every other week on every other Thursday. And we also have what they call a streamer combat competition that we have with other clubs in the area, and that's rotated around. We do it once a month, but there's several other clubs in the area that we go to also. So on every Wednesday night, we do a streamer combat, but it'll only be once a month at our field. And we may not even do it at this field for this year. It's, we still have use of the field in Cedar Springs right now, but as long as we have that, we'll probably do anything we have will probably be done at that field. We'll probably just use this for a practice field for the members that live close by. And actually, as it turns out, about 40% of our membership lives within 10 minutes of this site on the East Belt Line. So other than that, we have, we usually have a pancake breakfast in June for one, like on a Saturday. And other than that, it's guys just practicing their flying and, perfecting their skills at flying, and they'll be there. So just give you an idea. I don't think it's going to be a very high usage thing, where you're going to have, a ton of people in and out of that area there. It's going to be kind of, especially low key.
Okay, all right. Peter, do you want to add anything before I open it up to the public hearing?
I do believe Eric has hit on most of the items. I did want to bring to your attention, we did have this reviewed by MDOT. They have indicated that minimal improvements are necessary at the field road. Did not get my comments back from the fire department at the time of this report, and still waiting on those. But I do anticipate that they're going to want to have some sort of surface improvement on the two-track that gets back to the main area. The applicant has indicated that they're willing to work with us on that, so I'm not too concerned about that at this particular point in time, and we have addressed it as a condition of approval. There are a couple other conditions of approval that are kind of set up for what-if scenarios in there, and I will leave it at that. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. We're interested in hearing from anyone that has any comments. If you do, come up to the microphone over here, make your comments, tell us your name and address. No? Okay. Then I'm going to close that portion of it. Jack, I'll start with you. Do you have any questions, comments? Sir, you can stay right there, because we got some questions for you. That's right. You can run, but not fast.
Well, Eric, I'm happy that that site is going to get some use. I was walking out there maybe 8 years ago, and it was a pretty sad site in there. There's piping in the back there and a bunch of other things. Do you have a lease with the waste company?
We will, we have one ready to be signed. Okay, as soon as we have this approval from the township, Waste Management has the license. We've already reviewed it, sent back for some revisions. Now they've gone through and made those revisions, and that license is ready for us to sign after approval tonight.
So, could I ask the length of that lease?
10 years initially with the ability to renew that after the 10-year period.
All right, appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Dennis?
With model planes, how loud are they?
Let me put it this way, probably
Sorry?
80% of the planes that we have that flying in our club right now are electric. So you won't even notice those. You'd be be lucky to be able to hear them at all, even if you were on the site, you know, unless you're right up by the runway, you're not going to hear those at all. There are various types of airplanes. I mean, there's the old, what you would think of as the glow engine planes that use nitromethanol fuel. They've made a lot of advances to those and quieted them down with mufflers, and the 4-strokes are very quiet anyway, but the 2-strokes would probably be the loudest ones. But we do have testing equipment on site that if a plane seems to be noisy, we can do a test on it, but everybody has to be able to pass, I believe it's on a hard surface is 98 decibels at 20 feet. And on a turf surface, I think it was 96 decibels at 20 feet with a decimeter. So that would be probably equivalent to a lawnmower.
And how high do they fly up? Are you allowed to? in the city?
It varies. We typically stay under 400 feet, but
Okay. Well, I think it's a good use of the site, and,
well, we could have approval to go much higher than that. I mean,
oh,
right now the FAA likes to keep us down below 400 feet, but actually where this site is located, we're not in regulated airspace for the FAA. All the pilots that are in our club, first of all, they have to be AMA members, okay? They have to follow the AMA safety code. And besides that, they all have to be registered with the FAA. So the FAA actually is the regulating agency for anything that weighs over 1/2 pound. Basically, the FAA has regulatory over that right now. And there's a lot of things going on with that right now, but it's one of the reasons that we definitely need a flying site, because the FAA is really regulating where model aircraft hobbyists can fly now, okay? If you're not in a FAA recognized area, which they call a FRIA, F-R-I-A, then you're required to have a transponder on your plane. I've never seen one yet. I mean, they haven't even come out with one for the marketplace yet, for the airplanes yet. But they look at all the airplanes that we fly, whether it be a replica of a Piper Cub or a Cessna or P-51 Mustang, it doesn't matter. They consider those all as uncrewed aerial systems. Okay, used to be unmanned aerial systems, but you know how they changed language now. Now it's uncrewed aerial systems. And so they're all considered, quote, drones. Okay, and if you're flying a drone over 1/2 pound, then you have to have FAA registration. And it has to be, the FAA registration has to appear on your aircraft also. So, I mean, we've got a lot of regulations and safety rules that we fly upon, but that's part of the club that we have. We do a lot of teaching and instructing how to do it safely, so.
well, that's all the questions I had, so.
Thank you, Robin. Any questions, comments?
Sure. Will the landing strip require some site preparation to flatten it or get it to grade?
It's going to require a little bit. I mean, it's not going to look like the field that we have in Cedar Springs right now. Peter, could you bring up the photos of the Cedar Springs site? I think they were down on the agenda item. There we go. This is the field that we have currently in Cedar Springs, okay? And that area where we're at right there is nice and flat, like a pool table. I mean, it's just 100 acres of flat land right there. So, I mean, that's an optimal site. But where we're at on the landfill, the landfill is kind of a mound, and so we kind of picked a site as close to level as we could, but it's going to slope down to the north. It's going from the north to the south. It slopes up and then it drops off. So we got to, try to pick an area in that location to put the runway itself. But this black area that you're looking at, that's a fabric runway. It's a geotextile runway. And so it looks like asphalt, but it's not. It's a fabric runway, but it holds up very well. We put this down in 2015, so it's going on 8 years now that this will be the 8th year for that fabric being down there. It's staked down with landscape staples and stays there year round.
Thank you.
But to answer your question, because of being the Superfund site, we can't cut anything out of there. We have to add to it to level it out. So if there's a mogul or a dip or whatever, we're going to have to add to that. So we've estimated it'll take somewhere between 20 and 40 yards of topsoil to level out the low spots to fill it in.
And Waste Management is aware of this and agrees?
Yes.
Requirements?
Yep.
Thank you, Robin. Brian?
When people aren't there, how are you going to keep other people out? I mean, it sounds like it's sort of open all the time. People just sort of show up. How do you?
There's a locked gate
Okay,
at the entrance.
okay. Okay,
And the only time the gate will be unlocked is if there are club members there,
okay.
okay? And then when the club members leave, then they will lock the gate back up again. And we had a similar situation at the old rodeo grounds in Sparta. We used to have a field over there and it was gated and it was the same situation. We'd unlock the gate when we got there, and actually we welcome visitors to come, check us out if we're there, if somebody's there, but if there's nobody there, then the last person out locks up on the way out.
Okay. And it looks like I see is that a porta-john I'm seeing in the one picture here? Will there be a porta-john on this
Yes,
site and somebody will maintain that properly?
we-
Okay,
we rent those by the month, but we typically put one out there in April, and it's there until September, October, and it is cleaned weekly.
okay. And would this be used this year, this season, or will it be for
If
24?
we do any flying operations out there this season, we will have a porta-john there.
But I mean, just in general, you are hoping to use this
Yes,
site if you get
oh,
approval?
yes, we
Okay.
do, yeah.
That's all the questions I have.
Now, you indicated you fly when weather permits. On average, how many days a week are you using the field?
If it doesn't rain and not windy, we fly 7 days a week, but like I say, it's unlikely somebody's going to be there if it's raining at all, or if the wind is over 15 mile an hour, there's not going to be anybody there.
I just wanted to get a sense of level of activity, and it sounds like
I mean, if it's nice days, I myself am retired, and there's quite a few members of the club that are retired, so, we like to get there, sometime 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and, spend the day, most time we,
I don't have any questions, but we do have some conditions. Brian, would you read those, please? Sure. There you go.
Okay, conditions that are listed, the applicant shall obtain approval of the driveway, the 2-track and parking lot from the Township Fire Department prior to the first event. Any lighting of the property for the model airplane use must be approved by the Community Development Department. The applicant shall obtain a permit from the Kent County Health Department if required for sanitary facilities prior to the first event. And the applicant shall provide a copy of any agreement with Waste Management to the Community Development Department prior to the first event.
Okay, thank you. Any additions, corrections, discussion regarding these conditions? No? Okay. I'll take a motion at this time.
I move that the planning commission grant a special use permit and grant the site plan approval for the Wolverine Skyhawks Model Airplane Club, subject to the conditions stated.
Support?
Support?
Thank you, Brian. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. You are all set.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you. Nice presentation. Next is the PUD preliminary discussion, post-drive mixed-use development. And Brian, do you have that application?
I do. Project name is Post Drive Mixed Use Development. Applicant is Brandon Visser. Project address 1303 Post Drive. Permanent parcel number 4110-08-400-009. Size of site approximately 3.2 acres. Existing zoning C1 commercial. Proposed zoning PUD planned unit development. Project description, the applicant is requesting a rezoning to allow a development plan consisting of a mixed-use commercial building and a 12-unit residential building. The planning commission is being asked to provide feedback through a preliminary development plan discussion.
And you are,
Brandon Visser.
okay, you want to tell us about what you want to talk about?
Yeah, 1 second. Do I need to take that mouse by chance, or? Okay. Sorry for the delay. So my name is Brandon Visser. I'm a builder developer right in Belmont on West River Drive, and we've recently gotten to dig into the investigation a little bit on what we can do and the proposed plan for a post-drive development. I think you guys are aware of. The site is located just off a Post Drive exit, northwest of southbound 131 exit. It's 3.35 acres between Dollar General and Beaver Creek Drive. And there's currently an old residential home on it that we would be demoing if approved. So the star is the location there, but this is right off the Plainfield Township zoning map. So I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit about the differentiation in zoning around the parcel. It's a pretty diverse little corridor there with the PUD to the northeast, which is the mobile home park, and then C1 zoning just to the northwest, and then we even got a little residential in the yellow there on the field to the north. So we have found that this kind of parcel kind of creates the perfect storm for a mixed-use development where it can kind of cater and mix in and blend in and serve as a transitional property between some of these diverse uses. All while trying to meet some of the needs that the township has. So this is our preliminary site plan. We have one entrance shown off of Post Drive with a connection as well to the Dollar General parking as cross-access. We have been in discussion with Kent County Road Commission about that location, and they gave us some favorable remarks to that as a location and tentatively approving that location for a proposed entrance. The cross-access would be used just for transitioning from parking lot to parking lot and can work in conjunction with some of the higher traffic times of the day. Additionally, one of the newer things that we kind of dug into was that MDOT's gonna be looking at putting a stoplight at the southbound intersection of the 131 exit. We think that this would definitely benefit the area as far as the post-drive traffic, creating some gaps in traffic flow, stop and go for people coming and going out of Beaver Creek, as well as this proposed development. We would be continuing sidewalk across the frontage in conjunction with the neighboring property, and then also running sidewalk from Post Drive back into the residential portion of the project. So there'd be pedestrian access to Post Drive and any of the other businesses or stores that they would like to go to. The first building as you enter from Post Drive would be that mixed-use building I described. As you kind of go in further to the, there's a purely residential building in the back. So they're separate but still connected. And we'll circle back to that site plan in just a little bit. As far as the building design goes, we're really excited about this style building. It's unique, it's different, and as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to hit on the needs of the township, and housing is a big one right now. And finding good places to build housing is harder than it looks sometimes, and this is a parcel that seems as though it would fit that need. On the first floor of this building would be C1 uses, or a combination of, depending on what we end up putting on the site plan, we can cater to specific uses as we kind of talk about it going forward. The second floor would be purely residential. So we are proposing 6 units on the second floor, 2 of which would be 1-bedroom, 4 2-bedroom units. And this design, like I said, it is unique to the area, but ushering this in with a new age building style just seems to fit that corridor because it still has commonalities with the storefront, but also just giving some diverse residential housing options to the people in the area. Looking at the left side of the building, we do show a drive-through option on the left side, which would be for that left suite. We spent a lot of time just on the site plan in general, reworking parking and the layout and the flow, which I'll show you on the site plan in a minute, just to make sure that that was accounted for as far as the functionality and the safety aspect of a drive-through, whether or not that's a lower impact drive-through or not. And then this other thing about the unique building style of having a mixed-use building is we're able to reduce some of our footprint on the site as far as the building space goes. So that lets us use the site a little bit more efficiently. And you can see it's not overkill. It just uses that space rather than just a straight C1 zoned single-story building. Looking at the residential building in the back, it's a 12-unit, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, all of them with a 1-stall, a detached garage, as well as some open parking spaces. We matched the exterior to kind of have some correspondence with the front building so that it has a look and feel of a full community. So there's some continuity as far as building styles go, materials and things like that. And as I mentioned, there continues to be and has been a need for this type of housing. So 6 units above our commercial isn't probably going to put a dent in the needs of the housing market in Plainfield Township, but a 12-unit and 6 units up front, it spreads it out and also does what we feel is a good start, a step in the right direction as far as providing some options for housing. So going back to the site plan, as I mentioned earlier, we tried to optimize parking. We spent probably most of our time just trying to get the flow of the site correct. So as far as the residential portion on the mixed-use building, they're gonna use this parking behind the building with hedges or a curb going around 3 sides of it, so it's contains the traffic flow. There's not gonna be through traffic for the most part. Everything's gonna be directed around the residential parking, and then they'd be accessing the building to their residences from the back of the building. So they wouldn't be commingling with the commercial uses in the front. There'd be 2 rear access doors serving 3 units and 3 units in the back going up the stairs. And we think that just gives that whole thing a pretty well fit as far as the functionality of it. As far as the drive-through, I kind of drew it in an arrow just so you can see the flow of it, but it's pretty robust as far as what we're proposing, just so that we can, we'll never run into a jam where the stacking causes any problems, if there is any. We don't know the future occupant of such a proposed use on that commercial side, but if it is a low-impact drive-through, this would be way overkill, but that's kind of what we're going for, is a highly functional site. As far as parking calculations go, we're providing 70 parking spaces for the commercial mixed-use building with the residential portion in the front. And we have 8 deferred parking spots as well. And then for the residential building in the back, we have 27 spaces, so 15 open parking spaces and the 12 garage stalls. As far as the green space goes, depicted in green on the plan, we end up around 45% of the site being green. What that looks like is open yard and manicured lawns for kids to play catch-in, proposing possible dog parks or community gardens we've done before in different places that seem to be a big popular thing for up-and-coming residents looking for places that offer more than just a place to live, but some outdoor options. So we believe that this is just a really efficient use of the site as far as green space goes. Oh, jumped ahead one too many. But in conclusion, we're just honestly really excited about something different, doing something a little more unique. So we're excited to hear your feedback tonight. And we think the mixed-use building style really speaks to Plainfield's desire to encourage some more creativity in their developments. And that's kind of what we're going for. So anyways, without any more details, you guys feel free to discuss and ask any questions you have.
Thank you. First, Peter, do you want to add anything?
Only in that, we have talked to the applicant about cross connection to the east. It may be an option, but I don't know that that dialogue has gone any farther than just broaching the subject with a mobile home park to the east. Beyond that, I think Brandon pretty much laid everything out. So if you have any comments for us, let us know.
Okay, well, let's find out. Brian, do you have any comments, questions, concerns?
Very nice presentation. I appreciate the
Thank
work that went into that. Can we go back to just the layout, the slide back, I think is, yeah. Just a couple things, and Peter, you might be able to answer this. Would there be any advantageous reasons or to put a connect behind the dollar store also?
I'd want to talk to a I think I struggle with that. I haven't really done a full analysis on that right at the moment. I do think there needs to be some level of cross connection either to the east or west.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of, but we have the one in front of, but could there be some advantages to the one in the back?
I do think the
don't-
way Brandon has laid it out, though, it might be counterproductive to go to the west.
Okay, just thought. Obviously with the drive-through, I think some care would be needed to be taken as to what type of business. I mean, a Chick-fil-A would be horrible. You know what I mean, is a drive-through like that. So a drive-through could work, but a business like Chick-fil-A, which does 90% of their business, I think, through the drive-through would be detrimental. So
Yep.
just, we would need to choose wisely, I think, what goes in there. Your trash for the front building, which is up in the northwest corner of the parking lot, I think that's a little far away from the building, especially in the winter. Especially I mean, is that where residents are gonna have to take their trash?
This isn't a site plan.
But I know, but just some ideas there. So,
Yeah, we got to play around with, dumpster locations and sizes because capacities for the occupants and things of that sort. So there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done on that with the future landscaping plan too.
those are just, I mean, other than I know parking can be an issue in this whole area on certain evenings. Hopefully this would not add to that problem.
Yep.
So that's all I have.
Jim, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I just appreciate the work the team has put into this since we met on it back in December. I think they've dealt with some of the concerns that I had with density, coverage, layout, better use of the site, in my view. I still remain mildly concerned about the traffic, but, hearing that MDOT's looking at a light at the exit and freeway exit, and the way this flows now, I think it's a lot better. Suggesting that customers are gonna drive all the way around the residential parking lot to get to the drive-through, I think might be a reach. They're gonna always look for the shortest shortest way over. I don't know how you're gonna police that, but that's a minor concern. That's a site usage thing, and your residents will certainly let you know if that's a problem in the apartments. But no, I can see myself being in favor of this development. It appears to me to tick off of all the fine work we did on our visioning for Plainfield Avenue, and would hope to see similar developments along Plainfield Avenue in the future. So thanks for giving us that look.
Absolutely.
Jack?
Peter, I have a question for you. I know with the PUD, a lot, there has been a set of PUD requirements with scoring. Is that not necessary here?
Only for strictly residential PUDs is that required. When you do the mixed use, then you're exempted from that.
Yeah, the major problem I had in the past, of course, was traffic. And when we heard that Michigan was going to put in a traffic light there by the freeway, that's in my mind solved that problem. The Right Place has done a survey, and I hope that I'm quoting it correctly. There are 10,000, right now there are 10,000 homes in Plainfield Township. The need over the next 10 years for the county is 30,000 homes. That's 3 times more than what the homes are in Plainfield Township. And so while you say you're not putting a dent into it, this development's not going to do a lot for it, but anytime we can add more housing in Plainfield Township, you know, logically, I would say that's a good thing. So appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Dennis?
I like the layout of the site. I like the green in the front. Anytime you got more trees for that area, I'm in favor of that. As far as the flow goes around there, I think it works out pretty well. I'm in favor of it.
Robin?
I very much like the bringing in the concept of the shop house, shops below and residential above, as putting mixed use into an area with the apartments in the back to help alleviate some of the housing issues. I like that a lot. I think that the site works very well. You've talked to Best Buy about the connection? Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not Best Buy.
Dollar store.
Dollar store.
You've
Yeah.
talked to Dollar Store?
Yeah, we have,
Sorry.
yep. Yeah, they're just hanging around to see what happens, and we'll carry that conversation further as we progress.
That front end of that Dollar Store is a busy place.
Yeah, and that can kind of work both ways, honestly, because there's gonna be time, you know, we don't know the end game uses of our C1 or commercial portion of it, but in general, more connectivity is always better. So giving Dollar General another avenue as well, there could easily be times where they find it easier to use ours when they're stacking at their exit or entrance, and ours may not. So it can, cross-access works both ways.
I'd like to reinforce the thinking through the dumpsters a little bit better.
Yeah.
Especially when you have shops, if there's a restaurant or a drive-through or something like that, high waste producer. And of course, the livability, the apartments and whatnot, they need convenience. So, but that's all I have. I like the concept, and I think it's.
Thank you.
Bridge and Leonard is getting built up similar in this fashion. And I like the shops on the bottom. I like the sense of neighborhood. I think that this is prime area for a PUD. When you were here in November, you were not summarily shot down, but I really did not want to see something like Dollar Store to keep being repeated and repeated, which is why I like this. We've got the ability to control things in it. It's got something the community needs in the form of housing, and also it's got an upscale approach and feel to it that I like. So those are, anybody have anything else to add to what they said or been said? Okay, and that's our thoughts, so.
Very good, thank you.
Do you have questions or anything?
No, I think the next step is we'll just talk to Pete about, next steps and see where we go from there as far as fine tuning some site plan things. Obviously, this is just preliminary, so getting some real detail on there and kind of buttoning up some things would be the next step, and hopefully seeing you again soon.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. That's my feeling. Hopefully, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but I feel you're on the right track.
Thank you.
Ooh. Staff comments. Peter, you got anything to comment
I
on?
sure do. On May 8th, there is a combined meeting between the Planning Commission and Township Board planned, starting at 6 PM. I know some of you might have a challenge making that. So what they have done is they planned dinner at 6, and then the meeting will start at 6:30. So that gives you, some of you, if you can't get there right away, a little leeway to get there a little bit later for the regular meeting. The purpose is a housing presentation. And Jack, I know you know a bit more about it than I do right at the moment. And then master plan kickoff also. So I wanted to bring that to your attention for May 8th at 6 o'clock, with the regular meeting starting at 6:30. I also wanted to let you know we had a ZBA meeting last week where we considered the variance for 3658 Mill Creek. The ZBA did deny that variance request. They will not most likely have to come back before you, but they will have to adjust their site plan. And also, the Kent County Health Department denied their septic permit and ordered them to pull that out. So they'll have to connect to public sewer on that site. So just wanted to give you an update on those two things. And that is all I have for the moment.
Thank you. Planning Commission, any comments? No? Pretty quiet up here. Okay, great. Thank you. We are adjourned.
It's not bad. You did okay.
We got clocked by the guy at the planes.
Actually, you know how they prevented people from cutting?
We got more tours up here, not one of them.
Your speaker.
Well, okay.
This is too close.